Hi guys, this is Kaushal, writer, motivational speaker and life coach, and this is the second part of the Rahu through the houses series that I'm doing. If you haven't watched my video on Rahu and Ketu, understanding your purpose, please go back and watch it, because that will give you a very good foundation to proceed when it comes to understanding your life path, your life purpose, and using the nodes Rahu and Ketu, the north and south node of the moon, to decode your destiny, to decode what you're here to do in this lifetime, what you're here to accomplish, what you're here to create, what you're here to experience. Okay, so as I have said before in the previous video as well about Rahu in the first house, Rahu's placement wherever it is in your chart points out towards immense potential for growth. It is that area of your life which will give you all sorts of problems, because your soul has very little experience with this particular area of your life. But this is also the area of your life wherever Rahu is placed in your chart. If you make a plan and you consistently show up, that's all you got to do. There is magic to be experienced. Why? Because what you seek is seeking you. You know, if your soul has manifested in this material plane, in this Mrityu Loka, if you've been given this body, this physical vessel, for a limited duration to experience the world, it is for a reason. Okay, the reason is, and this is where I like to draw from the Sankhya Shastra, your soul does not manifest just by accident. No, your soul is undergoing many cycles of development that are bringing it closer towards the ultimate development, which is being able to let go and liberate from the cycle of birth and death, of the Atman merging into the Paramatman. That is what your true journey is. Now, as part of this journey, in these 120 years, as we say in Vedic astrology, that you've been given, although most of us, we only live up till 60, 70, 80 years. So this limited duration that you have on this planet is for a purpose. It can be, to become a billionaire. It can be to become a massive politician or a massively popular movie star, whatever it is. Whatever it is, whatever that dream is, whatever that natural inclination is that you have in your mind, that you harbor in your heart, that is what is going to bring you closer to liberation. Okay? So now let's get started with Rahu in the second house and what it means. Rahu in the second house, the north node in the second house, points towards a need for the soul to find stability within itself in the family of birth, when it comes to assets, values, but mainly the goal here is to find stability within one's self. My assets, my values, what belongs to me, my fixed assets, my ideas, my ideals, my speech, my voice. You are here to develop that in this lifetime, and it's not going to come easy. It's going to be very difficult, because where Rahu is, that's where you will have the natural inclination, but that's where you will have the least experience. So you're going to mess up a few times. Probably growing up, your relationship with your family is going to be weird in some way. You might find that your values are very different. You might find that your way of talking is very different. You might find that what you attach security to is very different. Your idea of making money is very different. Why? Because wherever Rahu is, that's where we have the biggest goals, the biggest desires, the biggest dreams. That is what is standing between us and moksha. And the soul needs to traverse that distance so that it can be fulfilled and let go of Maya, let go of the pain that is associated with Maya. Even if you are the richest man in the world, there is a level of pain that comes with living on this material plane. It's not permanent. The only thing that is permanent is your connection with the divine. Okay? So when you have Rahu in the second house, early on in life, it's going to be focused, your ideas are going to be focused on other people's money, taking help, taking support from other people. Why? Because Ketu is there in the 8th house. 8th house of joint assets, 8th house of other people's money, 8th house of risks, 8th house of unwanted ups and downs, or unexpected ups and downs. That's what your early life is going to be about, and you're going to feel very comfortable with it. But slowly, you're going to realize, man, I need a more secure life. I need to build more security. I need to build more assets. I need to build more money. I need to build more wealth. Okay? And in this process, you are going to have to tap into what your values are. So people often say that when you have Rahu in the second house, you can be a drunk, you can do drugs, you can abuse a lot, and you can speak a lot of lies. That's the negative expression of Rahu. The positive expression is, I think, take the example of Eminem. I don't know if you know Eminem, although I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know Eminem. But Eminem is probably the best rapper in the world ever. And he cusses a lot, he abuses a lot in his songs, but that's just to give an outlet to his emotions, to what he truly feels. And an example from him is, I'm not too sure if he has Rahu in the second house, I'm pretty sure that he does. So I don't want to go very deep into the example, but mostly what happens is, whenever you have Rahu in the second house, building wealth is going to be tough. And sometimes what is going to be accompanying is a lack of connection with your spouse, a lack of connection with your in-laws, a lack of even bed pleasures with your spouse. You might find that your married life is, unless there's an influence of benefics, that's a very different thing. But purely on the basis of this, even if you have a lot of benefics, sometime or the other you're going to feel this. And man, no matter what I do, I somehow always am in a situation where I have to be the person to look after myself, where I have to be the person to look after everything that I care about. I wish I had more support. I wish I had more help. That's the lament of Rahu. Okay? But you won't have that because you are here to learn that. And so what you have to do is, when you have Rahu in the second house, do not compromise on your values. It will take you a while to define what your true values are. Your values are going to change over time, because it's Rahu. There's a growth curve attached to it. There's a learning process attached with it. But once you discover them, don't let go of them. Because in your values, in what you value, is what you're going to find the most value in life. Example, let's say you value speaking the truth. Maybe you can become a great motivational speaker. Maybe you can become a great, activist. Because that's what you value. Or maybe you value building wealth a certain way. Maybe you think that I don't want to spend, I don't want to waste money in the stock market. We never know if it goes up or down, in the long run. I want to put my money into Bitcoin, or I want to put my money into physical assets like gold and silver. Go through with that. There is a growth curve that is attached with it. You will mess up in life. But if you keep working with the energy of Rahu linearly, there is immense potential for growth. I have seen people who have Rahu in the second house and they have made tons of money in stocks. So that is another way, right? So you have to pick what you value with this placement. With this placement, your wealth, your security, your happiness, your sense of self-worth, because second house is also your sense of self-worth, is going to come in a very unconventional way. You're going to have to find out what works for you, and then you have to learn to stick with it. Because second house corresponds to the natural sign of Taurus, and Taurus is a very slow moving, it's a very slow and steady, but a very steadfast, very grounded sort of a sign, because it represents the energy of the bull. So your assets in life with this Rahu placement are going to come slowly. You're going to want to take risks, because there's Ketu in the 8th house. That's what you're going to want to do. Man, I want $1 billion. Maybe I can put all my money into this application and it'll be a hit, and then I'll, be famous and all of that, and then you end up losing a lot of money. That can happen. So what you have to keep in mind is that if you have Rahu in the 2nd house, it's going to be a slow and steady process of growth, where you're going to have to find your values first. You are going to have to find what your self-worth is attached to first, what works for you first. When you have figured that out, then there is slow and steady growth throughout your life. In fact, sometimes people with Rahu in the 2nd house, they can become so obsessed with creating wealth, they become disinterested in everything else. That's all that they're focused on. That's all that they're dedicated towards. That can happen. Okay? When that happens, you can feel pretty disconnected from other people. You can start, indulging in alcohol, because Rahu does represent alcohol, indulging in lies, false commitments. So whenever that happens, whenever you catch yourself doing that, you need to be aware that, okay, the energy of Rahu is expressing itself in a bad way. Never overcommit with this position. Stick to what you're committed to, however that is important. If you're a businessman and you know your payments are not going to come for the next 2 months, and you're making a false commitment to somebody that, okay, I'll have the payment with you in about 1 month, and in your mind you're thinking, I'm going to make this commitment, then I'm going to go and then I'm going to take some risk and I'm going to come back with the payment and I'm going to clear my dues. That is not going to happen. That is not what you're here to do in this lifetime. You are here to become a very dependable, a very self-reliant, a very reliable, a very stable person. That's what you're here to become. And you're here to rely on yourself, on your ability to create the kind of wealth that you want. People with Rahu in the 2nd house can often be, lured into investing into schemes, Ponzi schemes, or schemes that, lose a lot of money. Once again, you do not have to trust in other people to make you the kind of wealth that you want. That is the last possible resort. Your primary focus should always be take courses. It is going to cost, but hire a wealth coach. Take wealth coaching. There are a lot of classes, webinars, courses available online. Take them, study, learn wherever your Rahu is placed. In your case, Rahu is in the 2nd house. You need to learn about making money first. Learn about creation of wealth. Learn about how to create wealth. And when you do that, you will find that in a slow and steady manner, ultimately, by the time you're 40, 42, you have gone past all of the people that you used to think were superior. Because around 40, 42, Rahu matures, right? And Rahu is considered very good in the 2nd house, in fact. Obviously, there are a lot of other things, because you have to look at the nakshatras, you have to look at the aspects, you have to look at the conjunctions. But Rahu is, is mostly always good when it's in grounded signs like Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Okay? So, 2nd house, 6th house, 10th house. Rahu is good in these placements. So with Rahu in the 2nd house, this is what you have to learn to realize. You have to learn to build a relationship with your family of birth, your family lineage, to develop it. This inspiration is always going to be there in your mind. Probably it's going to be difficult in the beginning, but ultimately that is what you're here to do. Okay, so that's all I have for Rahu in the second house, and I hope you enjoy this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel so that you can stay abreast of all the wonderful content that I post here, so that you can follow this entire series and many more to come. Push the bell icon so that you can be notified every single time I post. Thank you, take care, Hari Om.